welcome to the Story Palace. Are you sitting comfortably? Good, then let's begin.
This story is called Horace the Heroic House Spider, written by E.V. Parker, illustrated by Lily Puller, and read by Amelie Forrester Evans.
On a hill there was a house. In that house there was a kitchen. In the kitchen there was a fridge, and behind the fridge lived a spider called Horace. Horace was much like any other house spider. He had a round body, 8 spiderly legs, and 8 beady eyes. The only thing that set Horace apart from the other little black spiders was his rather splendid tiny top hat. Horace lived in a family of 6, a mum, a dad, a boy, 2 girls, and Mr. Kitty Whiskers, the sour-faced cat. For the most part, Horace was a happy spider, but whenever he scurried out from his web behind the fridge, the cat would chase him, the children would scream and shout and jump about, and the mum and dad would run and hide. This made Horace feel sad. Nobody seemed to like him at all. One day, Horace overheard the children talking in the kitchen. "I don't like his long skinny legs. They're creepy," said the boy. "I don't like his small round body. It's freaky," said the older girl. "I don't like the way he scuttles about. It's sneaky," said the younger girl. "And Dad said Horace sneaks into our bedrooms at night and licks our faces while we sleep." "He does not do that," cried the boy. "Spiders don't have tongues, do they?" pondered the older girl. "He does do it," insisted the younger girl. "When you wake up with crusty eyes, it's because a spider's been licking them." Horace was horrified. He had never licked a person's face, not ever. Yuck! There was nothing for it. He had to prove to the children that just because he looked frightful to them, that did not mean he did frightful things. Horace crawled back into his web and thought and thought. At long last, an idea came to him. He peered out from behind the fridge, tipped his tiny top hat to Mr. Kitty Whiskers, the sour-faced cat, and then quietly crept up the wall. Horace snuck into the younger girl's room, where she was fast asleep, and set to work. In the morning, the younger girl woke up early, got out of bed, and opened the curtains. She was surprised to see Horace waiting for her on the ledge. She was about to scream when she noticed that over the window was a magnificent web glistening in the morning sunshine. It looked as if it was made out of diamond necklaces strung together. "For me?" the younger girl asked. Horace nodded and tipped his tiny top hat. Just then, Dad came into the room. He screeched when he saw Horace, causing the younger girl to jump back in shock. She fell into the web and the sticky silk got stuck in her hair. She sighed and cried and hopped about until Horace ran out. Horace was sad. His gift had gone bad and he'd made his family incredibly mad. Not one to give up, Horace crawled back to his web and thought and thought. At long last, a second idea came to him. He peered out from behind the fridge, tipped his tiny top hat to Mr. Kitty Whiskers, the sour-faced cat, and then quietly crept up the wall. This time, Horace snuck into the boy's room, where he was fast asleep, and set to work. In the morning, the boy woke up early, got out of the bed, and opened the curtains. He was surprised to see Horace waiting for him on the ledge. He was about to scream when Horace scurried up the edge of the curtain and swung across the window from a silk thread. He turned somersaults and balanced on a ping-pong ball. It was a magnificent acrobatic display. "For me?" the boy asked. Horace nodded and tipped his tiny top hat. Just then, Mum came into the room. She hollered when she saw Horace, causing the boy to jump back in shock. He fell onto the ping-pong ball, which went flying and hit Mum in the eye. The boy sighed and cried, and Mum hopped about until Horace ran out. Horace was sad. His gift had gone bad, and he'd made his family incredibly mad. Not one to give up, Horace crawled back to his web and thought and thought. At long last, a third and final idea came to him. He peered out from behind the fridge, tipped his tiny top hat to Mr. Kitty Whiskers, the sour-faced cat, and then quietly crept up the wall. This time, Horace snuck into the older girl's room, where she was fast asleep, and set to work. In the morning, the older girl woke up early, got out of bed, and opened the curtains. She was surprised to see Horace waiting for her on the ledge. She was about to scream when Horace pulled a conductor's baton from out of his tiny top hat. He waved the baton in the air and a choir of spiders dropped down from above. The spiders sang the most magnificent song. "For me?" the older girl asked. Horace nodded and tipped his tiny top hat. Just then, Mr. Kitty Whiskers stalked into the room. The sour-faced cat stared at the spiders, and the spiders stared at the sour-faced cat. Mr. Kitty Whiskers grinned, gave a wicked wink, and then pounced. The spiders scattered. The older girl shouted, "Bad Kitty, stop!" But Mr. Kitty Whiskers wasn't listening. He raced around the room at top speed, chasing after the spiders. He knocked books from shelves and slid across the desk into soft toys and pen pots, sending teddies and pencils flying. So focused was the cat on catching a spider. He wasn't looking where he was going and leapt from the bookshelf onto the lampshade where Horace was perched. Mr. Kitty Whiskers clung on to the lampshade for dear life, and Horace held on tight as the bedroom light swung back and forth. The cat soon lost his grip, and sharp claws out, he was hurtling straight for the older girl. The older girl screamed. She was about to get scratched. Horace and his eight-legged friends sprang into action. Together, they spun their silk threads around Mr. Kitty Whiskers until he was completely cocooned. The spiders lowered the sourpuss to the floor, his furry body wrapped up tight as if he was about to emerge from a silky cocoon as a beautiful caterfly. Having heard the commotion, the rest of the family rushed into the room. "What happened?" asked Mum, staring down at the cat cocoon. "Horace saved me!" cheered the older girl. "Saved you?" said Dad, surprised. Horace tipped his tiny top hat and gestured to his spider friends. "His friends helped too," explained the older girl. The spiders smiled up at the family. "Well," Mum beamed, "what can I say? Thank you, spiders." "Horace is a hero," said Dad. "Well, I never." "Can they stay, Dad?" pleaded the younger girl. "Yes, can they, Mum?" begged the boy. "Of course they can," said Mum. And that very same day, Mum and Dad set about building a tiny spider hotel for their new eight-legged friends, with an extra special room for Horace, the hero. Thank you for listening. Please visit the Story Palace again soon.